we typically will have this up and on the record shared site early in the following week here, probably early next week. The one that's up there right now is a previous one from a couple weeks ago. So again, Doug Nesbitt, Director of Affordable Finance and Fair Lending for CMG. And let's get the show on the road here for HomeFundIt. A little bit about CMG, because I know we oftentimes have a bunch of folks on the call who are real estate agents, maybe not super familiar with our company. The company was founded 30 years ago, almost 31 now, by Chris George, our president and CEO. He founded it in his garage in Pleasanton, actually, with 6 employees. The company has steadily grown since then. Chris was the chairman of the MBA back in 2018. I think we are the largest privately held single owner mortgage bank in the country. I think we're usually between the top 10 and top 15, depending on the list of all lenders for mortgage in the country. Loan officers coast to coast, branches coast to coast, full range of products that you'd expect from a top lender. That's one of the things we pride ourselves on, having more programs and products and solutions than other lenders do. If you can't find it here, you probably can't find it. There are 2 proprietary programs that nobody else has. One of them is the all-in-one loan. I call that the most powerful loan on the planet. It's the house I have. It's a loan I have on my house. I'm getting ahead of myself here. It's the house I have on my loan. I guess you could look at it that way. I think it's probably the best, smartest financial move I've made in my life is putting the all-in-one loan on my house. So I've done more with it than I ever expected I would. And HomeFundIt, the other proprietary program, and that's what we are here to talk about today. So there's 3 things that HomeFundIt can do for you. One of them is obviously it helps your buyer with that #1 problem that all buyers have today is affordability, the down payment in particular. And that's the kind of the nuts and bolts of HomeFundIt, the basics, right? So if you just sort of describe HomeFundIt at its most basic level, it helps people solve that #1 down payment problem. But along the way, one of the things we found out about HomeFundIt is it does 2 other things really, really well. One is it helps you as a loan officer, as a real estate agent, to hold on to buyers who aren't ready today. And we're going to talk a lot about that because strategically, it's probably where you're going to grow your business right here. Obviously, solving the down payment is a big deal for the people who are in the market, people who are shopping for a home. But really what you also want to do to be able to grow and expand your pipeline, and that is to access and retain folks who aren't ready to go today. And there's tons of them. We'll talk about that. And then thirdly, what we've discovered also along the way is that HomeFundIt helps you generate more downstream referrals after the sale. And it's wired into HomeFundIt specifically by the way HomeFundIt works. And we're going to talk about that as we go through as well. So those are the 3 things you're going to learn today. Let's talk about first-time home buyers. HomeFundIt's all about down payment gifting, and first-time home buyers, that's what they do a lot of times is down payment gifting. So let's take a look at who those folks are. They're struggling with high home prices, rising rents, student debt, credit card debt, you know the drill. And when you talk to renters today, 70% of them will tell you that the down payment is the #1 problem. And let's take a look at kind of the market today to see who's in that market for buying a home today. Well, for everyone that you're working with today, who's in the market, buying a home, shopping for a home, etc., there are 10 more who are on the sidelines, and those are called prospective buyers, folks who are not active buyers, but they're going to be a home buyer at some point in time. Large group of them, most of them really are first-time buyers. I'd argue that number is a whole lot more, actually. When you look at who's actually in the market today, those are current buyers. That number for first-time buyers shrinks down pretty aggressively because they don't have money for the down payment. So the people who are buying homes are a lot of move-up buyers and move around and downsize buyers, but new buyers coming into the market, owning a home for the first time, about 32%. Historically, that's kind of the normal size number. That number recently in the big real estate boom we had in the last few years here, that number shrunk down to about 26% because they were getting squeezed by buyers moving up and sideways and down and so forth. So let's take a look at how big those circles are, though. There are about 4 million current buyers per year in the United States. That's the number of transactions we see on real estate, single family homes, et cetera. That number bumps around a little bit up and down, but generally it's around 4 million a year. So how many prospective buyers do you think are out there on the sidelines working on getting ready to buy a house, dreaming of buying a house, wanting to buy a house, planning to buy a house. 40 million, 41 million mortgage ready prospective buyers out there. That's a Freddie Mac number. No mortgage, 40 years or younger, FICO of 620 or higher, DTI 25 or below, and no blemishes on their credit record. These are people who could do a mortgage, right? What's keeping them from getting into the market today? Well, aside from some life issues and things like that, generally what it means is they're saving for that down payment. National Association of Realtors says it takes 4 years on average. I'd argue that process is probably higher now and getting worse. So for every one that you're working with today, there are 10 more that are on the sidelines, 40 million mortgage ready folks. If you can move some of those folks from the left side to the right side, you're going to do more business. If you can help those people come up with that down payment, get ready a little bit sooner, you're going to have a bigger business. And that's what HomeFundIt really does. Now, to get help with that down payment today, other than getting a big fat raise or winning the $1 billion lottery that's out there right now, traditional down payment gifting is really the way people do it. They get a little bit of help from good old Bank of Mom and Dad, even though under Fannie, Freddie, FHA guidelines, other relatives can help with the down payment, but they never get asked. And why is that? Well, we kind of know the reason. There's a lot of friction in that system. You have to get a paper check from those people. You got to get gift letters. A lot of times there are financial statements involved. There are crazy sourcing rules about who's a relative and who's not really a relative. The whole process just doesn't work very well. And when you think about the timing of that process, when does your buyer really actually learn about how down payment gifting really works? Well, it's pretty late in the process. They're sitting across the table from a loan officer, and the loan officer says, where are you getting the down payment from? And you say, well, my mom and dad are going to help a little bit. And did you know that other relatives can help? Well, yeah, we could go out and maybe talk to the grandparents. That process takes a little while, right? So they don't have time to go back to all those other folks, so they never get asked. And we typically just see the help coming in from parents in most cases. So it doesn't really work. It under-delivers versus what it's kind of supposed to do. And we said, hey, let's fix that. Let's move this process online, which makes it easier for people to be able to help. So all those relatives that could theoretically have been helping with the down payment can now help much more easily. All they got to do is go online and help with a debit card or credit card, no offline paperwork. And we said, hey, let's make it so that everybody can give. That means that friends, family, cousins, teammates, coworkers, wedding guests, anybody can give. In fact, anybody can give up to $5,000 per donor, no maximum on how much you can raise on a campaign. I was just on the line with a campaign. They're going to have all 4 parents, mom and dad on both sides, giving $5,000 each. That's $20,000 coming in. And I think they're actually going to give more offline outside of HomeFundIt. No maximum on how much you can raise on the campaign. We take no commissions or hidden costs. We cover all the costs of running the program. If you try to do this on Kickstarter, GoFundMe, or any of the other crowdfunding platforms out there, you'd have huge commissions and costs, and it would kind of blow up when you got to the loan at the end. And a big one, even though it's the shortest bullet point here, no time limits. That means there's no minimum age for HomeFundIt. You do not need to have a loan file in the system. All you need is a computer and the desire to own a home someday. You can set up one of these campaigns anytime. You can add the loan later and go on your way. And it works with any loan program that we offer, except for HFA bond programs. So that means all of your CMG conventional, Home Possible, Home Ready 3% down payment programs, your FHA, your VA, USDA, Jumbo, all in one, works with non-QM and Alt-A and near miss programs. It works with our renovation programs. So fantastic flexibility to use this alongside just about everything out there. Boil this thing down to an elevator pitch and you've got online down payment gifting where anyone can give. We've moved the process online. That means we took the friction out of it and we open it up so that anyone can give. That opens up huge possibilities for your buyer. It sets up very, very easily. They just go through a few simple setup screens and presto, they've got a page on the web where people can help with their down payment. These pages look like everything: dogs, cats, families, weddings, graduations, you name it. We've seen it 2,200 times. These campaigns are really what is going to resonate with their family and friends. So those are the pictures and the stories that they put up there, and they invite people to come by and help out with that down payment. They can customize that picture and title, as you've seen. There's a nice little default story that gets them started so they don't have to write anything. And a lot of people modify this. The loan officer and real estate agent are both featured on the campaign page. There is the place where you donate in the upper right-hand corner, and you can track your progress. There's a second way to add funds to a campaign. It's called HomeFundIt. I'll talk about that in a second. And in the bottom right, you can see where all the gifts are coming in. This goes down the page as you get more and more gifts. We match those gifts 2-to-1 up to the lesser of $2,000 or 1% of purchase price. We apply that as a lender credit at closing. So it automatically shows up on the CD based on how much you've raised on your campaign. Most campaigns are hitting that $2,000 pretty easily. There's 2 requirements to get the $2,000. You have to be a first-time buyer. We use a 3-year Fannie Mae rule. Only one person has to be a first-time buyer. And you have to take home buyer ed prior to signing a purchase contract. That means if you're already in contract, sorry, no $2,000. So you got to get it done before you get into contract. We have a free 1-hour over the phone based system with GreenPath, or you can use any HUD approved online course. Now, you don't need to be a first time buyer to use the platform. Occasionally we see some move up buyers, divorce and disaster, et cetera, where families are rallying around somebody to help them buy a home, even though they were not a first time buyer. You don't get the $2,000, but you can use the platform. Don't see a lot of those, but it happens occasionally. But for first-time buyers, $2,000 as long as you meet these 2 requirements. Very important. Now, you can add Borrow Smart and Freddie Mac's Home Possible and Home Ready grants to this. Those can be up to $2,500 if you're making less than 100% of the area median income. You can take the $2,000 from HomeFundIt plus your gift money coming in, plus up to $2,500, and that gets you up to almost $4,000 to $4,500 in a lot of cases. Just depends on the income of the person. So we stack these. We have an exclusive variance that allows us to stack HomeFundIt on top of these programs like Borrow Smart, Home Possible, and Home Ready. So a great way to go. And we see a lot of overlap between these programs in many, many cases. Second way to add funds to a campaign, it's called HomeFundIt. You basically do that by shopping. It's built into every campaign. Click right in here and it opens up a world of online retailers. There's about 1,000 of them there. Each one of them rebates a certain percentage of what gets spent in the shopping trip. You got to do it through the campaign page or through our Chrome extension. And we rebate that back to the down payment at closing. It averages 7.6%, ranges from about 1 to 50%, depending on where you shop and what you buy. It kind of varies all over the place. Anybody can use this and shop. So loan officer and real estate agent, you want to help your client out, that you can go there and do a little shopping and help them out with their down payment. All of the stores that you know and love are in here. A lot of the travel guys are in here. Home Depot, 8% back. Walmart's in here. Target's in here. So anybody doing their online shopping can help with that down payment. Very unique. Only place you can shop and raise a bigger down payment. And those pledges that you're earning, we match those 2-to-1 towards that same $2,000 lender credit. So think of it as a second way to get to the $2,000. You can do it by gifting. You can do it by shopping. And again, don't forget, we've got a Chrome extension. Install that Chrome extension and you don't even have to go to the campaign page. You can go directly to the retailer and it pops up, links that shopping trip to the campaign of choice, and those funds go to the campaign. You never forget to go to the campaign page. Just do your shopping and it automatically happens. Third way to get to the $2,000 is by sharing your campaign on social. We give you $10 per person per platform per day towards that $2,000. So think of it as a third way to get there. A lot of people like to put it out on social, so you can get $10 every time you share it. And if your friend comes by your campaign page and shares, they can help you generate $10 as well. Got to share from the campaign page. Sometimes we have some issues sharing from mobile because of the way Facebook's API works. So make sure that they're sharing from the campaign page, best done with a tablet or a desktop computer. Again, third way to hit that 2,000. And when your campaigner sets up their campaign, they have a nice little dashboard where they can control everything, modify their picture, their story. They can get their home buyer ed started from here with GreenPath. They have a nice little email family and friends option here, which if they're not interested in sharing on social, great way to get the word out is to hit the email family and friends. We give you 3 starter emails that invite family and friends to come by and just check out the page, and people end up giving. You can track everything here. Loan officer and real estate agent are both featured. Now, a little administrative detail here. On HomeFundIt, there are 2 main tracks. One is the Freddie Mac track, which is special. The other is all other loans. I'm going to do that one first. Again, you have unlimited time to run these campaigns. Start with Up It if you like, transition to regular fundraising when you're ready. Typically, that process is 4 to 12 weeks once people start kind of getting the word out. You want to make sure you get your home buyer ad done before you get going on house hunting, because things start to heat up around then. And because seasoning is required on the gift funds coming in on most deals, we basically allow you to dump those funds into the bank account for seasoning. There's an ACH button on the dashboard of the campaign control panel that they have. So they just go in there, hit the ACH button, deposit the funds in their bank account for seasoning. How long is that? 2 bank statements. So typically you want to leave those funds in there for at least 60 days, probably longer, because 2 bank statements kind of happen on the month for most people. And then you're going to close, you're going to get your $2,000 lender credit, your Up It funds, and those gift funds are already in the bank account seasoned. They become buyer funds at that point, and they're there. So this is a process where you're going to raise those funds as early as possible so that you have time to season those. Now, you're probably sitting there saying, uh-oh, what happens if I don't have time to season those funds? What do I do? Well, you can't use unseasoned funds in the transaction. It causes problems. So you leave them in your campaign until after closing if you don't have time to season them. Then you can just hit the ACH button after you close, the day after you close, and you can get those funds and use them for whatever you want. All those repairs and upgrades and carpet and paint and things that you're going to need to spend money on after you close, those gift funds are going to come in handy for that. So you have 2 options. You can season those funds, or you can leave them and pull them right after closing. You still get the $2,000 either way. You did everything you're supposed to do. It just depends on whether or not you can use those funds in the transaction. Now with Freddie, that means Freddie Mac's conventional Home Possible, 3% down, or choice renovation. No seasoning is required. You can fundraise right down to the end. Make sure you get your home buyer ad done before you get into contract. This is a big one. It's a hard and fast rule. And then you want to submit your loan application. You're going to close, get your $2,000, your Up It funds, and the gift funds are wired in at closing. 48-hour wire request, folks, and those funds go right in at closing. So this is really the easiest way to go. We do about 40–45% of our business through Freddie because of this, and people have more time to campaign basically. We've done tons of these, all different types of loans, all different types of borrowers. The main thing is we've seen a lot of these stories. And I think bottom line is we kind of know how these campaigns tend to run now after quite a while. We've seen some very, very large ones. I got another one of these giant ones coming in this week, and they can be very large. But what I'd say the sweet spot campaign is 5 to 15,000, 5 to 15 donors. This is for a good looking, well-shared campaign like this one here. This is a couple in South Carolina. They had recently got married, found out about HomeFundIt actually after their wedding. They were kind of wishing they'd found out about it before their wedding. But timing as it was, they found out about it after. They went back to the same group of people that came to their wedding. They actually didn't expect anything to happen because those people had already given them wedding gifts. They basically thought that their parents would give. And we have all this on video. They had 13 people give even after the wedding and said, yeah, we'll help you with that down payment. And just put them in their house sooner, stronger. They raised about $11,000 in just a couple of weeks. And it was just a very powerful, but short, but powerful campaign that just put them over the hump, But what was really important about this was not really even how much was raised or how fast it was raised, but that 13 people gave, even after the wedding. They jumped in and helped. And those 13 people then become really what we call the HomeFundIt network effect. In a typical purchase, there are 4 main players on stage: loan officer, real estate agent, buyer, and seller. And you're hoping that you're going to get some referral business out of that kind of tiny group of people, right, who know what's going on. But with HomeFundIt, you have all these donors, those 11 donors who jumped in, 13 donors who jump in and help that couple buy a house. They were helping their friends. So guess what they do after that? They go out and they talk to all their friends and family about HomeFundIt and this cool thing that they use. And that, if you want to do that, go see this loan officer, go see this real estate agent. And those people become referral sources for the LO and the real estate agent. So the key thing here is to create these campaigns with lots of donors. So how do you do that? Well, you start early. You don't jam your buyer at the very tail end and say, here, go out and go talk to everybody in the last couple of weeks. Start early. The minute you find out somebody is thinking about buying a home, that is the best time to start HomeFundIt. Not while they're shopping for a home, because it's kind of late to, just like currently, it's kind of late to go back out and ask a lot of people for help. And you end up with bank of mom and dad money, and that's it, not very incremental. But if you want these incremental campaigns where there's lots of referral power in them, start them as early as you can. Reach way up the funnel, find people who are still planning on buying a house, talk to them about HomeFundIt. Then that lets them have time to comfortably work HomeFundIt into their life when their grandma comes to visit, when they're out with their friends, when they're at the backyard barbecue, when they're out at work. You know, talking to the people in their life takes some time, right? And takes some time to do it comfortably. If you want these big donor referral networks, you have to give your buyer time. That's the number one thing we've learned. Of all the slides I'm going to show you today, this is probably the most important one to kind of learn from, because it shows you the power of what can happen if you give your buyer a little bit of time with these campaigns. And once you have those donor networks, we go out and we market to those donors. We're the only company that's doing anything remotely like this. All of those donors get an email at funding 1 month after, 3 months after, and a whole year after funding, saying, thanks again for helping us with that down payment. We haven't forgotten, and it means a lot to us. And by the way, if you know somebody else who's looking for a home, be sure to tell them about HomeFundIt, and here are the people that you can send them to: loan officer and real estate agent. So we're doing post-purchase nurture marketing to the people who helped your buyer with their purchase. Nobody else is doing this. So very, very powerful. So it really pays to start these campaigns early, because selfishly, you should want a lot of donors, because we're going to help you turn those into referrals down the road. And you talk to our top HomeFundIt producers, this is where the money comes from. So start early. That's the number one thing I can tell you. Okay, so that's how the platform works. Let's talk about how you can get it out there and grow your business. We have 6 strategies that people are using. Number one is kind of a foundational strategy that really every real estate agent should be using. One is to set up those realtor portals. We have realtor portals that include a lot of great marketing materials. They're a starting place for your buyer to start a HomeFundIt campaign. It'll start a co-branded HomeFundIt campaign featuring both the real estate agent and the loan officer it's connected to. Again, it's got some great marketing tools, some nurture marketing that goes with it. Super easy to set these up. It just takes about 2 minutes at realtor.homefundit.com. They include your branding. They include your contact information and picture. This is where your buyer starts a HomeFundIt. And again, as early as possible. They do not need to have a loan in file ready to go. They don't need to be house hunting. They just need to want to buy a house someday down the road, right? Someday over the rainbow, they're going to buy a house. That's the time you want to start a HomeFundIt, the minute you find that out, right? And they can, there's no minimum age. They can be as young as they need to be, as long as they can press that button. There's an ask a question panel, allows people to get back in touch with you, goes right to your email. There's video that explains how the program works. There is an active and successful campaigns tab, and this is what features all the campaigns that start on this portal. People can check them out, click into them. The live ones are still live. You can just click right into them. There is, if you're in one of the 40 states that allows for you to help with closing costs, you can do a closing cost match. It's a pledge, and you don't actually have to put in any dollars till closing. It's a dollar for dollar pledge, and you can cap it at whatever amount you want. So as people donate, your pledge shows up right there. You get a little free publicity, dollar for dollar match, pledging to help with closing costs at the end. Now, what's the real big reason to do this? Well, what it does is it allows your buyer to then go out and be able to say, hey, my lender is matching 2 to 1. My real estate agent's matching 1 to 1. Do you think you might be able to help with my down payment? People are a lot more likely to want to help when they know that the lender and the real estate agent are going to match whatever they give. Particularly useful at weddings. So make sure you do one of these matches if you're in one of the states that allow it. Even a small match gives your buyer the ammo to be able to go out to their family and friends and say, I've got people supporting me. I've got my lender is helping, my real estate agent's helping. Could you help with my down payment? Inside your portal, there's a marketing center with downloadable social graphics and testimonial videos that you can share. And these testimonial videos, I'll detail here a little bit. They've got your branding automatically applied to them. So this is really unique, way better than just sharing a link to a video, a Vimeo video or a YouTube video. Your branding is automatically applied on this video player, and it's easy to share these. All you got to do is click the share button. There's a contact form that allows people to get back in touch with you. There are 7 of these in there, all different types of stories about how HomeFundIt has helped somebody get over that big hurdle of coming up with the down payment. And you can see here my branding on this sample one here. I'm just going to click the share link underneath the video. That pops open a share on Facebook if I'm logged in. And then all I got to do is put some call to action copy at the top. I'm going to show you how to get that, by the way, so you don't have to think that up. Just hit the post button and away you go. It gets posted right into your social media. It's the #1 thing that's going to stop people is video on these. And that's what these are. The video starts playing right away. And people are going to get back right in touch with you because you're presenting the solution to the #1 problem that home buyers have, the down payment. And if you have a Facebook page, you can boost that post and get it in front of all kinds of people in the marketplace around you. Now, inside your portal, there's a marketing kit with a page that corresponds to each one of those videos. And all you got to do is find that page that corresponds, find the copy on the page to put in your post, paste it into your post, and away you go. So you don't even have to think anything up. We've pre-written the call to action copy for each one of those videos. Really easy to get one of these portals. Just go to realtor.homefundit.com, realtor.homefundit.com. You're just going to pick a password, put in some information about your company, write your URL, your vanity URL. So you can pick the part of the URL that's your unique part, upload your logo and your picture, write an about me statement, and select the loan officer that you work with from the drop down. And then all you got to do is decide if you want to be nice and do one of those matching pledges. I highly recommend it, again, because it gives your buyer the ability to go out and help you create a bigger network of future referral business. That's what this results in. So you definitely want to do this if you can. You can cap it at any amount you want. The amount doesn't matter. Just the fact that you're matching gives your buyer the horsepower to help you find more of those donors. Now, once you get campaigns up and running, you'll see weekly email statements that come out to your buyer, to you, to the loan officer, updating everybody on where we are on these campaigns. They're branded. So this is particularly useful for really long range campaigns, staying in front of your buyer for as much as a year and a half. Doesn't matter. You're not in control of the timeline anyway, but what you are in control of is how you stay in front of that person. And we help you do that. There's an activity email that goes out anytime somebody shares or shops or donates. So make sure you get one of these portals at realtor.homefundit.com. Now, loan officers, there's a report in Domo that tracks all your campaigns. So once they have a loan associated with them, that'll track right through on Domo and it'll show up in your list on Domo. Second main strategy. This is a big one, weddings. 65% of people getting married will buy a house together within 48 months. That's the stat. So that's the trend that we're riding here on this strategy. This is household formation. The other big trend that we see out there is cash funds. More and more weddings are seeing cash funds than ever before, and fewer weddings are using the traditional gift registry because, frankly, they have all this stuff in many cases. Nobody wants china, crystal, or silver anymore. So just go to the thrift store and you'll see that. So the pitch that we use, let your wedding guests help you with your down payment, is fantastic. It's incredibly effective. Everybody at a wedding expo understands what that means. And it's very, very effective. So we see a lot of LOs and real estate agents going out doing wedding expos, talking to people there. And frankly, if you've ever done a wedding expo before, you're out of alignment. What you're selling at a wedding expo is real estate. What they're buying at a wedding expo is a wedding, right? They're planning their wedding. So yeah, they're going to buy real estate down the road, but they can't do that with you right there, right? And so they're busy working on their wedding. However, when you bring HomeFundIt to a wedding expo and you say, let your wedding guests help you with your down payment, you have instant alignment. You can sell something that they are buying, right? Because what you're selling is the ability to turn their wedding into a way to create money for that down payment. So people are putting QR codes in their save the date announcement that lead to their campaign page. They're putting QR codes in their wedding announcement, wedding invitations, saying, hey, instead of a traditional registry, we're really hoping to buy a house. By the way, our lender is matching 2-to-1, and our real estate agents matching 1-to-1. So, instead of a traditional gift, we just love it if you'd help with our down payment. And these are incredibly successful. Again, everybody at the wedding expo gets it. So these are very, very powerful pitches that you can give. We had a wedding expo in Scottsdale that got 96 warm home buyer leads in one afternoon. So they work. So we've got a lot of marketing support behind this, best practices kit, expo materials, etc. Give it some consideration. Number 3, the next gen buyer. You know, today, when you're talking to a past client, particularly an older one that's maybe aging in place, their kids are getting older, finishing college, starting that first job, and you tell those folks, you say, well, don't forget me, call me when your kids are ready to buy a house. Now today, with HomeFundIt, you can call up that older client and say, hey, we've got this cool new tool that can help your kids buy a home sooner, and the whole family and all their friends can help. It can help them with that down payment. What parent wouldn't want to get that phone call, right? What you're looking at here is a picture of a campaign picture. A guy in the purple shirt is actually a real estate agent. He runs Gray Fox Realty out in Nashville, and he found out about it from us as we were doing one of these presentations. Went home, talked to his daughter, the young lady at the top here. She was a junior at Clemson at the time, set up her campaign page. Remember, don't need to have a loan file in place, no minimum age. She sets up her campaign page, graduates, puts a QR code in her graduation announcement, and says, hey, by the way, my lender is matching 2 to 1. And if you're going to send me anything for graduation, what I really would love is some help with my down payment because I'm saving for a house. She had a house by November. So very powerful way to kind of reach through those older customers, the gatekeepers to the next generation, and start now. The earlier, the better. And this is a great example of that. And loan officers, we make that easy for you. All you got to do is go in Domo, and you'll see a list of all your past loans and the ages of the dependents that were listed on the applications for those loans. So just run down this list, look over to the right, you'll see the green area. These are people who are probably approaching home buying age, and call those clients up and say, hey, how are the kids doing? We've got this new tool. Okay, strategy number 4. This is what we call our trash to treasure strategy for short. These are buyers who need more time. You know, today, like we were saying at the beginning of the presentation, there are 10 on the sideline for every one that you're working with. They're either waiting, they have life issues, jobs, wedding, school, divorce. They're not in the market for all kinds of reasons, still saving, income needs time to develop. And there's a lot of folks who have tried to get into the market and gotten turned down, right? For the mortgage side, the credit side, whatever it happens to be. They're not in the market today, but someday they will be home buyers. You want them to be your customers when that time comes, right? So why are you waiting for them to call you? Go out, find those people, connect with them, and get them started on building a bigger down payment. They're in your pipeline the minute you start HomeFundIt, right? They are all going to need a larger down payment. You haven't met a first-time buyer yet that doesn't need a larger down payment. So HomeFundIt's the one tool that they need to be using. Now, they may have other tools that they need to use, like credit repair or get their job going better or whatever it happens to be, right? But they all will need a down payment. So HomeFundIt's the one constant you can apply as early as you possibly can, as soon as you find these people. So get them started. That's the key thing. And it's a tool to allow you to go out and hunt, right? It's the best hunting tool I've seen in my 24 years in this industry. It's almost an unfair advantage because all of these people need a larger down payment. You're providing something that has real meaning for those folks. Number 5, renovation. We can use HomeFundIt alongside renovation. We have a fantastic renovation loan team. And, you know, first-time buyers, they tend to avoid unloved properties that need a lot of repairs because they, you know, taking on a first-time purchase is a big enough challenge for most people. But when you show them that, hey, we can do this, we've got a fantastic team that can make this work. And frankly, I think a HomeFundIt plus renovation story is a really, really strong campaign story. Hey, we couldn't find the house that we were looking for, so we found this old fixer. We're wondering if you could help us with our down payment. By the way, our lender is matching 2 to 1 and our real estate agent is matching 1 to 1. Absolutely help you out with that and help you build your dream home. So HomeFundIt plus renovation is a really inspirational story. If you're working with buyers or you're talking to people out there who are just kind of freaked out about the market today, there's a lot of aging properties on the market, and we could do a fantastic job turning those into a dream home, and they can pick it up for a below market price. Number 6, organizations. You probably know some companies in your area that are interested in helping their people become homeowners, right? People, whether it's a for-profit company or a nonprofit company or a church or a union or some other organization that wants to help people. If you have connections into those types of organizations, we have a special affinity portal that organization can set up as a starting place for their people to start a HomeFundIt campaign and build a bigger down payment. It can link to their HR site. We really encourage a company to match into these campaigns because it shows that they're committed, right? And all the business coming in goes to one loan officer and one real estate agent. So if you've got that relationship, let me know and we can help you get those set up. You're probably looking at one of our best ones here, Hamra Enterprises. You don't know the company, but you probably know their brands. Wendy's, Panera, and Noodles & Company. They pretty much run all of the stores throughout the Midwest and the Northeast for those chains. And they've got about 20,000 employees. They have 3 HomeFundIt portals, probably 60 campaigns running at any given time. And a lot of those folks are going to qualify for $2,500 from Fannie and Freddie, $2,000 from CMG, $2,500 from Hamra itself. So there's a lot of dollars in these campaigns, and they're getting 3% down payments. So plus gift money. So they're getting people over the line. It's a very, very powerful combination when you have a company that wants to help. We've got educational organizations like Graceland University, East Alabama Health. We've got builders that are using these to hold on to prospective buyers. We've got like Brown Homes down in Texas uses it. So if you've got an organization of any kind that wants to, help people get over that hurdle, let me know and we can get one of these set up. And a good example of that is wedding service providers. When you go to a wedding expo, you're surrounded by wedding planners and photographers and venues and things like that. They can set up these portals as well. We just finished setting up a wedding planner one the other day. So lots of opportunities there on those 6 strategies. Today, when you are meeting a buyer in the traditional sense, they're down here at the end of this long journey of getting ready to buy a house. But with HomeFundIt, it gives you ability to jump the line and start with that customer as early as you find out that they are planning on buying a house someday. It doesn't matter when. And remember, you're not in control of the timeline, but what you are in control of is when you start that relationship. And you want them to be in your pipeline, not your competitors. So you can win that buyer sooner than your competitors. You're actually providing them a tool that's meaningful that will accelerate their ability to buy a house because they're getting help from outside. And you've taken a deal off the table now that your competitors can no longer have. I call this the most unfair advantage that you can have in the 24 years I've been in this business. I haven't seen anything like it. And the other thing that's kind of cool is that a lot of times people don't know that there's all these low down payment programs out there. 40% of people out there still think that 20% is the down payment that they need to come up with. So merely by starting earlier with people, you're going to open doors that, you never know, right? People just think, wow, I can get into a house for 3% down. Let's go sooner. Let's get going. So amazing things start to happen when you engage with a customer earlier. It all boils down to getting people on these campaign pages. So for you, it can help your client be ready sooner. It can help you lock in these long-range buyers that aren't ready to go, the 10 that are on the sidelines today for every one that you're working with. That's a big upside. And when they do buy, it can generate more referrals. The earlier you start these campaigns, the better. And for your clients, it's a game changer because when you take friction out of down payment gifting, it opens up all kinds of possibilities for them. Again, we have online down payment gifting where anyone can give. Now, in your chat, I'm going to put a link to our HomeFundIt starter kit. So if you go in chat, you'll see that link there. Click the link, or sometimes if the link doesn't work, you can copy paste the link into a browser and it'll download a file that you can unpack. And inside there's a cheat sheet. I recommend you start there. It's got a great summary, lots of links, FAQ documents, some quick start flyers, and a copy of this presentation is in there as well. So lots of good, useful goodies. Grab that starter link out of chat and hopefully it'll work for you. If it doesn't, you can email me and I'll try to send it to you directly. 4 steps to making this work. Number 1, if you're a real estate agent, or actually if you're a loan officer and you have real estate agent referral partners, make sure that you set up a realtor portal, realtor.homefundit.com, and start working it into every conversation. Really, there isn't a first-time buyer out there that couldn't use a larger down payment. So it should come up pretty much all the time. And you talk to our top HomeFundIt producers, they just say, the number 1 thing they will tell you is bring it up every single time, no matter what. And people will use it. And the earlier you bring it up, the better, because the bigger these campaigns can become, the more referral power they generate. And that's what you want. So that means retraining yourself to become a hunter and not just working with the deals that are showing up at the front door, but to go out, network, do your thing, right? And find these folks who are thinking about buying a home someday, getting married someday, finishing college, starting their first job, work through that, those gatekeeper folks that you have that are older customers that have kids in that next generation. So identify those prospective buyers, because that generates those sources of business so that you don't always have to rely on the people that are in the market and fight over those people that are in the market today. So, and little things like putting links to your portal on your signature block and sharing those videos. Those are the things that are going to grow your business. And I'm pretty sure that one of those 6 strategies that we talked about is going to be the one that really makes your 2024 stand out. We're here every Friday pretty much. Once in a while, I got to shift it around a little bit, like next week, I think is Thursday. If you want to do a dedicated webinar for your branch or for your office, let me know. I do those on a regular basis, several of those a week. So get a hold of me and we can do a deep dive or a regular training online for anybody. For giant groups, I will travel. And we just got back from a gigantic roadshow in Salt Lake City, which was really a lot of fun. And we're just trying to get the word out on this program. So if you have questions, type them into the Q&A panel or the question or the chat panel, and I will see if I can get any questions that you guys have answered. I'll stick around as long as necessary. I'll pause here while you guys type in some questions. Hope you guys found that interesting. Wow, I don't see any questions yet. So either you're all waiting for someone else to ask the question that you have in mind, or, okay, wait, they're starting to come in. This is good. Excellent. How do we find out what states allow agents to participate or what states don't? If you shoot me a quick email, I will send you that list. Generally, the states that don't allow you to help with the down payment or with the closing costs, I'm sorry, states that don't allow closing cost help are in the south central part of the country. So kind of Tennessee and south a little bit from there. And I think Oregon also doesn't let you. So if you can help with closing costs today, you're good. If you cannot help with closing costs today, then you can't here either. It's really no different. It's executed exactly the same way. The match here is exactly the same. So shoot me a quick email, dnesbitt@cmgfi.com, and I'll send you back that list. Can you send a guide on how to start the affinity programs using this? Yes, we have a little a summary approach document, basically a script document, and we have a brochure, and those are probably the 2 main things, and a couple flyers. So if you shoot me a quick email, I will send you back some of those things and we can get going. Yeah, the affinity programs are really taking off these days. I'm seeing more and more people approach companies and organizations. And it doesn't have to be a for-profit company. It could be a nonprofit company too, because a lot of those have donors that are willing to help with, special efforts. And so churches or some kind of healthcare associations and things like that, we've seen some pretty good stuff. I'm working with a couple homeless services organizations right now to put programs in place. And they have donors who want to help people become homeowners that are graduating from those. Also working with an LO who's working on a foster care organization that's got graduates that want to buy homes. So lots of possibilities there. We're just there to help people build that down payment because everybody seems to need that. Okay, I'll stick around for any questions you guys have. Just keep typing them in and happy to sit and answer them. Be sure to grab that starter kit. It's in the link at about 10:40. I put that on there. So if you go up about 6 minutes, you'll see that link there. Grab that starter kit and unpack it. Again, if you have trouble with it, just email me. All right. Well, I'll hang out for a few more seconds here. If you guys have questions, type them in real quick. Otherwise, I'll wrap it up. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording, and then hopefully I'll have this recording up